What's good, YouTube? It's time to review the 1990 sequel to the 1988 horror movie Child's Play. Time to review Child's Play 2. So after the events of the first film, 2 years after the events of the first film, Andy Barclay's mom is admitted to a psychiatric hospital, and Andy is adopted into a foster family. Now, the manufacturer of the Chucky doll, I believe it is PlayPals Corporation, they choose to kind of rebuild the burned Chucky doll that they were allowed to recover from evidence for some reason. I don't know. So what they do is they reconstruct Chucky's burned body. They take him back to the factory, they reconstruct him, clean up all the burn wounds, all that good stuff, basically build him up from scratch. In the process of doing this, they accidentally bring Charles Lee Ray, also known as Chucky, back to life. So Charles Lee Ray's soul is once again in possession of the doll. So you know what that means. Chucky is now on a hunt to locate Andy now. He needs Andy because Andy is the person he revealed his true self to. And as we found out in the first film, this is how Chucky will be able to get out of the doll's body and transfer his soul into a human body. So Chucky is now on a hunt for Andy in order to transfer his soul out of the doll and into a human body. This is the plot of our film. Andy Barclay. The only changes we really get with Andy Barclay in this film is that he's 2 years older and he seems to make some smarter choices. And I feel like he puts more of a fight up against Chucky in this film. That's really the only difference we see in Andy, other than the fact that he is now adopted by a foster family. Kyle. Kyle is Andy's foster sister. She was adopted into the same family that Andy was adopted into. Kyle has been in a number of foster homes. We find this out kind of as the film goes on. I have to say this, for the most part, actually completely, Kyle is a likable character. She may be one of the best characters in the entire film. Maybe I should have saved that for my MVP of the movie reveal later, but who knows? Maybe she won't even end up being the MVP. Nonetheless, Kyle is a very likable character because she shows that she really seems to care for Andy. She gives him some pretty valuable advice, and she's the one that really steps in and talks to him when he feels left out or when he just feels like the foster dad's going to give up on him and stuff. Kyle is the one that reaches out to Andy. Sure, there's some moments where she kind of judges him for all the Chucky stories and stuff, but she never takes it to the extent where she's like, oh, this kid is crazy, I'm just done talking to him. She's not like that. Kyle's a very likable character. She also puts up a really good fight. Kyle is all about fighting back. I will say her only real downfall is that she smokes cigarettes, but that doesn't necessarily make her a bad person either. So I'm going to give a thumbs up to the character of Kyle. Phil is the uncompassionate foster father. Phil is always dismissive of Andy, pretty much through the entire movie. He didn't even want to adopt Andy in the beginning. He literally says in this film to his wife, whatever makes you happy. So it's he doesn't even want to adopt Andy. He just does it to make his wife happy. I really don't like this guy. Joanne is the foster mother. Now, she's the compassionate one out of the two. At least for about half of the movie. After we get halfway through, her true colors kind of start to, they kind of start to show up. After her husband is murdered, she really like just starts to blame Andy for everything. She even packs up all his clothes and puts them into a suitcase and sends him right back to the crisis center. Now, to an extent, I guess I understand it. Like, her husband got killed. Chucky's like not on the scene when it happens. Andy's the only one there. I get it. But I mean, for the way she was treating him for the first half of the movie, almost like she was his real mother and stuff, and then just to completely give up on this kid, I don't really know if I was buying that, and I can't really say she's a good person for it. And ultimately she ends up paying for this in the end. I gotta say, after she gave up on Andy, though, I really hated this character. I cannot give a thumbs up to the character of Joanne. Grace Poole. I can't say she's a likable character either. At first, she puts a really good word in for Andy. When the foster family comes in to start the process of adopting him, she really puts in a good word for this kid. She covers up a lot of the story that he told regarding Chucky and stuff, and she really makes him seem like a good kid, which in my opinion, Andy is a good kid. He really went through the experience. He's not making this stuff up. Of course, the people around him don't know this. But, at the beginning, I feel like she's a pretty decent character. But not long after we get this film rolling, this weirdo makes the mistake of giving up Andy's information to Chucky over the phone. I think she even gives Chucky Andy's whereabouts. Big red flag. As a social worker, you should know first off that you don't do this. I can't balance that part of the bad from the good. So I'm going to say Grace Poole is not a likable character either. Thumbs down. Mattson is an executive of the Play Pals toy company. He wants to erase the bad publicity regarding the good guy / Chucky doll. So after the Chucky doll is recreated, he puts the rebuilt Chucky doll into his car. Now, where this guy really becomes an unlikable character is in the USA TV version of this film. There's a scene where he calls his wife, claiming that he has to work late. And once he gets off the phone with her, he dials the phone number of another woman. I believe the woman's name is Gabriella, and she instructs him to pick up some liquor on the way to her house. So he is revealed to be cheating on his wife. So I'm just going to come out and say it. Even with the non-TV version of this film, this guy is an absolute asshole. I love these things. What's your name, buddy?
Chucky.
Now for the kills. I guess the only way to really say if these were a plus or a minus is to kind of go ahead and go over all of them. We've got a worker who gets electrocuted and launched through a window at the factory. This is during the rebuild process of Chucky. Then we have Mattson's death, where he is suffocated with a plastic bag. The teacher, Andy's school teacher, who is beaten to death with a yardstick. This one has grown to be quite popular with fans. Then we go on to Phil's death. He has a broken neck from a fall, which was caused by Chucky. I'm going to say out of the ones that I mentioned so far, this has probably been the best kill so far. Joanne gets a off-screen throat slit. I hate off-screen kills. I'm going to give that one a thumbs down also. Grace Poole. She is stabbed in the chest 3 times by Chucky, and in the process of falling down, her face kind of bumps into a copy machine, and we get copies of her reaction. This kill, in my opinion, was kind of silly. But as far as I know, this is the first death where it's Chucky's usual stabbing, so it's kind of a callback to the original. So I gotta say this one's okay for the most part. Then we get to the death of the factory technician. This is one where Chucky slashes him in the face, and then the guy falls on like a kind of like a platform that's moving around, and then he gets impaled in the eyes by something at the factory, which gouges his eyes out and puts good guy doll eyes into the worker. I gotta say, this is my favorite kill in the film. And then we have to count Chucky's death. Chucky is burned by molten, and then he gets his head blown up by a hose. I mean, it's the final kill. I usually don't rate these ones in the overall kills. I mean, I guess it is what it is. I personally think when Chucky got burned up in the first film and then they finish him off piece by piece, I think that was a lot better. And an honorable mention here is there was a good guy doll named Tommy in this film that was already at the foster home. Chucky actually destroys this doll with an antique from the home that he keeps hitting the Tommy doll in the face with, causing it to stop working, and then he buries him in the backyard. I can't really count this one on the list because it's not really a kill. I guess for the most part, the acting in this film it's pretty good. The character of Andy Barclay, that actor, he definitely stepped his game up in this movie. He seems a lot more mature. He seems, way more relaxed. I feel like he delivers his lines a lot better. He really sells the reactions. He stepped his game up in this film big time. I also got to say, I loved the actress that plays Kyle. She did a fantastic job in this film. And as far as the other actors, I think the foster parents, they did fine. I guess they were supposed to play like balanced characters of likable and non-likable. So their acting is fine. Grace Poole, the lady that plays Grace Poole, I know she's a terrific actress. She just does okay in this film, but I know she's a great actress. I remember her from a episode of Tales from the Crypt where she played a vampire that actually adopted a boy too. So there's an interesting fact there, but she's a good actress. I think she did okay in this film. The MVP, also known as the star of this movie. I gotta say, Kyle and Andy were damn close. Their bond was amazing. The fight that they put up was amazing. But to no surprise, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. The MVP of this movie is 100% once again, the MVP of this film is Chucky. Why is Chucky the star of this movie? Because in this film, he just brings his A game. He is scarier. He is way more aggressive. I mean, Chucky gets his ass beaten in this film, and he just keeps coming back. There's even a scene in this movie where he sticks his knife into his own arm after getting his hand cut off. He comes back after he's, drenched with the molten and all that. I mean, Chucky is a beast in this film. He's funny. His lines, they're great. He's scary. And then that epic voice from Brad Dourif. If you thought Chucky was amazing in the first film, he definitely tops it here. And also, as far as the kills go, we actually get to see more of Chucky doing these kills instead of us just seeing like a hand or a lot of the whodunits that we seen in the first film. This time, we know Chucky is behind the murders, and we also know that Chucky is the star. What did I think about this movie's ending? I thought it was okay. I actually prefer the alternate ending, which we see in the television version, especially on the USA Network. In this version, after Chucky is destroyed and his head is blown up, we actually see Chucky's head being rebuilt at the factory. I prefer that ending. I liked knowing that we were going to get a third film. But if you own this movie on DVD, I don't know if there's special features in there or what, but if you own the original version of this movie, you don't actually get to see that. That one just kind of ends with Chucky and Andy walking away. I guess I'm okay with the happy ending as well, but I personally like the alternate ending. I'm kind of 50-50 with the ending. You know, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. So if we're going by the alternate ending, I prefer that one. What is my final score of this movie? Guys, this is what I'm going to say about this film. I absolutely love Child's Play 2. I love this one even more than the first one. And you saw what I gave that movie. Now, I was on the fence about the final score. Just because, you know, I said I was hit or miss with the ending. I was originally going to give this movie a 4.75 out of 5. But since we do have two endings, since we do have that alternate ending, I'm just going to go ahead and give this movie its due. I'm going to give Child's Play 2 a perfect score of 5 out of 5. I rewatch this movie all the time. I absolutely love this film. I think Chucky is an absolute star in this film. I think the acting from Andy Barclay is so much better. This is just a better film than the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one too. So just imagine. And then my excitement for this film when I saw the trailer, even as a kid. You know, I was still afraid of Chucky at the time, but when I finally saw this movie, even as a kid, I loved it. Now I'm a grown man, and I love it even more. Child's Play 2 is one of, if not my favorite horror movies of all time. So I'm going to go ahead and give this movie, like I said, a perfect 5 out of 5. So have you guys seen Child's Play 2? I would imagine you have. Do you agree with me giving it a perfect 5 out of 5? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you like this review, go ahead and hit that like button. And please, feel free to subscribe. I'd much appreciate it. I'll catch you guys on the next review. Peace.